this is a genre where you get a new script every day, and it's 70 to 80 pages of dialogue. Whereas if you do a primetime show, you're basically just relearning your lines for an entire week.
Yeah.
For 7 days. You're not getting a new script on the daily. So this genre, this daytime genre, is one of the hardest genres there is. I mean, you really had to be on your game. And you don't really block your scenes anymore. You don't block and rehearse. You just block the scenes and then you just go and tape. And you don't get many retakes, if at all. And then you get the pink pages when they suddenly change something right there on the spot while you're taping there on the scene. I'm just like, there's so much, and it just gets belittled. And I just never understood why that was, because this field is one of the toughest fields to get into for an actor. And it is
definitely, especially now there's only 4 shows left. It's almost impossible.
It's impossible, and I would look at it, if that were me as an actor and I started on a soap, I would totally love that field, because it would teach you a lot of things. It would strengthen you as an actor, especially having to do that every day. I couldn't imagine myself learning all those pages of dialogue in a matter of a day. I mean, that's insane. I don't know how they do it.
Totally
I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it either. I mean, they're on set most of the day, and then they got to go home and learn another episode overnight.
Absolutely.
Like, and then come back and do it all over again. It's like, wow, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Pretty amazing
stuff.
stuff.
I have so much respect for these people. It's I can't say enough about these people. I have so much respect for them in this field currently, and for the last 20 some odd years that I've been watching these shows. I mean, I honestly do not think I could do what they do.
Yeah, I'm not sure I could either. I mean, I've done my share of learning dialogue, but I don't know that I could learn that much of it that quickly.
No, not at all. Not at all. And back to your Eric and Quinn and Eric and Sheila comment. Yeah, I remember that story. I started watching Y&R during the Lauren-Sheila rivalry.
That's when I picked back up on it, yeah.
I did not get into that show until 1991. So around the time after the baby switch with the black market baby and all that stuff.
Right.
So I got into it after that point, but I knew what happened already. So it was one of those things where I started watching The Young and the Restless where I already knew who the epitome of Victor and Nikki were. And how great they were. Like, I knew who they were. So I kind of went into it already knowing these characters as a young kid. So it was one of those things where I was like, I know how great Victor and Nikki are, but I never watched you before. It's kind of weird. So, and that's just what it was. And, you know, she was married to Jack at this point. And even though
that's right, yeah.
She was married to Jack Abbott at that point, and I'm sitting here going, well, I'd rather her and Victor be together at this point, since I know much about Victor and Nikki more so than Jack and Nikki. But yeah, it was around the time after the baby switch, and then Nikki starts her drinking problem. So
that's right, yeah.
So that was around the time I started tuning in, was when all that was going on. And then I definitely picked back up on it when the following year when Lauren and Sheila had that lab fight.
Oh right, yes.
That was when I saw.
See, that was vicious. They don't do stuff like that anymore on the soap for some reason. I don't know why.
Huge fight scene that everybody probably rewatched over and over again, and it's still probably one of the most talked about cat fights, aside from the Generations cat fight. But that lab fight was undeniable, and I saw the promo for it one night when I was watching Knots Landing, and I was looking at it, I was going, oh my God, I have to watch this episode. I have to find somebody to tape it for me. So, and I saw it. I thought it was wonderfully done, how they had the cameras overhead, over top. So I was just like watching all of those camera angles and how they were doing it, and, you know, hearing about how they filmed the scenes. You know, it was one of those things too where, I mean, I know that I'm one of those that likes to read about behind-the-scenes kind of stuff, too, but I don't use it to judge how I view a show. You know, it's one of those things where I knew about the backstage stuff with Bewitched, but it never turned me off, and I never had a hate for it. It's one of those things I was like, it just makes me love the show even more of what went into it. So watching Tracy Bregman and Kimberly Brown describe filming that scene was interesting for me because they basically were in a room watching the stunt doubles doing the fight scene. So basically they had to record over what they were watching, like the screams and stuff like that. And so I thought that was pretty interesting because I never knew that. And then I was like, wait a minute.
Oh, that is wild. Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute. And so then when I learned that, I looked at a lot of other scenes where it required stunt doubles and, you know, action type noises or whatever, and I looked at it and I was like, okay, maybe, and I think maybe they did that for this too, or they did this for when someone falls off a cliff and it's an obvious stunt double there. And I just like, that's a lot of things I never really realized about it. And I said, okay, so that's how they do that stuff. That's really interesting. I just thought that was wild. And then I was actually home for when they had Lauren and Molly in the cabin. So I got to see that when I was home. Imagine being a 7-year-old kid watching Sheila hold these two people hostage in the farmhouse.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have nightmares. But I'm going to have nightmares. And I'm like, yes.
That was a lot for a 7-year-old, yeah.
I did see Sheila have Lauren in the backseat of her car tied up. I did see the end of it where Lauren kicked over that lamp and the farmhouse caught on fire.
Lauren. It was Lauren that started that fire, not Sheila. Let's just get that right.
Why do people think that it was Sheila that started the fire?
Oh yeah, people always say, "Oh, Sheila started the fire." I was very lucky one time. This is a long time ago, like in 1998. I went to a folk villain symposium because Kimberly Brown was going to be there, and I desperately wanted to meet her. And somebody had said that, and I raised my hand, and I'm like, no, it was Lauren. It was Lauren that started it, and Kimberly was like, that's right. It was Lauren that did it. Everybody thinks I did it. I was like, yes.
I didn't know that because even I sat there. I was like, it's obvious Lauren started the fire because you see.
Oh, it's very obvious because she kicks the table over.
You see Lauren kick Sheila over where she knocks the lamp over.
Right.
So I'm like, how do people think Sheila started it?
Because people forget about that. They're always going, oh, Sheila shot Taylor. It's like, yeah, it was kind of an accident because Taylor was trying to get the gun away from her. Sheila didn't do it on purpose. I mean, okay, Sheila's evil, but let's call it what it is. See, the thing is, Sheila is my jam. So, like from way back. So
and that episode was just powerful too because she shot with that scene there where she was trying to get the gun away from
the
her.
Slow-mo and the music. It was just like chills down my spine every time.
I thought it was lightning, but it could have been a gunshot because it was also storming in that episode. So, and it was storming and raining. So what could have been the gunshot could have been lightning or vice versa. So I thought it was interesting aspect of that too. And then when she shot Brooke in the arm as well, you know, that I don't hear.
Which was also an accident, yeah.
Which I don't hear people talk about either. I was like, oh, did you forget she shot Brooke too?
Yeah, Brooke was lying on the floor in a pool of blood. Maybe because y'all hate Brooke so much. It's okay.
And that's what's hilarious. I don't think I've ever hated Brooke. I just disliked a lot of things she did because I was
here. I mean, yeah, she did a lot of crappy things, but I never hated her. Yeah.
I mean, I was all about Taylor and Ridge, but my sister and I used to go back and forth because she wanted Brooke and Ridge, and I was Taylor and Ridge, but then I became all about Brooke and Thorne, and I said, oh my God, Thorne's the best thing for Brooke, and I was like, why can't Brooke and Thorne be the thing? And they ruined that, and I was totally,
that was over. Yeah,
I was totally ruined. I was shattered. My heart broke because I really loved Brooke and Thorne. Brooke and Thorne were it for me. Loved that relationship. The fact that ended because they said Ridge is her soulmate. I said, ew, no. No, don't do that to my life. Don't make Rich her soulmate.
But they did. Yeah.
But why? But why? That's my question. Is why?
Well, I think because Bridge is supposed to be endgame. I think in a way it still is, but it's just harder with Torsten in the role. Although I think he's doing a great job. I really do. It took me a little while to get used to him, but and I see why they kind of didn't put Brooke and Ridge in each other's orbit too much since the recast. But I wonder now if that's where they're going. It kind of feels like it, or at least they're testing the waters.
Well, I still want Brooke and Thorne though. I mean, that was literally my life.
I didn't want Thorne to be on screen for
that too, and
full time.
And if that happened, he would be on screen. So
that's right. I'll take it.
He would be on screen.
I'll take it because I can't understand
why
Thorne
going anywhere.
Yeah, I can understand why Thorne is like a legacy character. Why they only bring him back on for special occasions? Like, come on, guys! He was in the first episode. Granted, as an actor, but still, the character was on there.
Yeah, it was Clayton. It was Clayton Norcross, and
Clayton Norcross.
Even I think Clayton Norcross's Thorne and Brooke were going to have a thing back then. I thought
it's funny you should mention that because I just in the last couple of weeks have been looking at 1987 episodes on YouTube, which I hadn't seen because I didn't start watching until '88.
I have to.
And I just watched the episode last night where Brooke met all the Forresters, and there was this kind of chemistry with Brooke and Thorne. And I just watched this episode tonight where Ridge is wanting to hook Thorne up with Brooke, and I was like, wow, I didn't realize they were sort of hinting at this back then already.
And that's what happened with me because I was doing the same thing, and I said, oh, were they trying to play with that back then? Because I could have seen that as well. And then there was an episode from '89 that I came across where it was around the time Clayton last aired as Thorne before Jeff Trachta came on.
Right.
And I never knew that Clayton's Thorne interacted with Bobby Eakes as Macy.
Oh, I didn't realize that happened at that point. I thought they waited until the recast. Wow.
No, I found it. I think it was actually his last episode too.
So it was Clayton's Thorne that met Macy.
Clayton's Thorne met Macy, and I would not have known that. It was the week where it was the U.S. tennis matches in September, where they were on for those 3 days of the week. And it was that Thursday of that week because I knew, and I was watching the lineup. It was that Thursday when Barbara Ryan found out that Paul shot James. So
oh my God, I remember that.
That's how I knew when that episode was because I was like, okay, this aired on the same day. So yeah, it was Clayton Thorne that met Macy. Yeah,
that is wild. See, I'd sort of dropped off. Like, obviously, I started watching in '88, but then I was going to broadcasting school. I had a job at a drugstore that I had 10-hour shifts and stuff, so I kind of wasn't.
Welcome to my life.
Yeah, right.
That's what I have now.
Closely.
I pretty much do 10-hour
I've been there.
shifts.
But so I started coming back to the CBS soaps around '92, around when Sheila and Michael Baldwin were on there at the same time. And I'm one of those people that I don't necessarily care who's in a relationship with who. I'll watch that, but I kind of like some of the like the characters like Sheila and Michael Baldwin. I guess I like the crazies. I'm sort of on the fence about Quinn just because I think they've made her a little bit too over the top. I mean, I love Rena Sofer and what she's doing with it, but she also hasn't really paid for anything. And yet she just keeps kind of running around doing this stuff. And now Eric is like, oh, well, everybody deserves a second chance. I'm like, yeah, you didn't say that about Sheila when she came back to reconcile with you in 2002. You called her crazy as hell and wanted her out of the house.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah.
He didn't even give her a second chance.
Sorry, go ahead.
He didn't even give her a second chance in '95 when she got out of that psych ward.
That's right. And got to move into that cool house, which I still want. But yeah, and so it's just kind of strange because when Eric got with Sheila, he didn't know about her criminal misdeeds. So it was one thing. Today, Eric knows what Quinn has done and still wants to marry her, and I don't quite understand that. I don't quite get that. And I know they've been hinting at the dementia thing.
Well, let's remember, this is the same character who got not only with Donna Logan, but also went on a ledge naked.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, now that I do remember.
So if
I always
do,
said all he had to do was get with Katie, and then the cycle would be complete.
then he'd be the male version of Brooke.
I know.